My name's Boss McWilliams, and I'm the host of...
I read The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. My book matters because it's about a lot of current issues going on in our world, like addiction, child abuse, child neglect, sexual assault. And one surprising fact or moment in my book was when the author gets sexually assaulted by her uncle, and her father and mother just blow it off.
I read The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks by Rebecca Scoot. My book matters because it's about the woman and her family behind the HeLa cells that they use in a lot of modern science for things. I think it was the polio vaccine was a very specific one they talked about. One surprising fact I learned is that, Rebecca Scoot, when she was giving a little backstory before she, made the book, she couldn't find, her name in anything, science related or whatever. She had to do a lot of research just to, find her name and, how she died. What is it?
Okay, so I read Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. And surprising fact is tuberculosis is found in a lot of places, and it's explained to be one of the most deadliest diseases. And, it goes into the science about tuberculosis and just its history with pop culture and stuff like that of the past.
A 30-second summary of my book is the author is living in a very poor family. The dad's name is Rex, and he promises her that he'll build a glass castle, kind of in a metaphorical sense. And then the book just tells the story of her life and the struggle she went through and the trials she had to overcome. The author's main message in the book would be the glass castle, I believe, supports the main message, kinda, where she went through all this trial and everything, and her dad was like the glass castle, where one rock and he would just break.
That was my turn.
Yeah.
A summary of my book would be, what's it called? Oh, there's a woman named Henrietta Lacks, and her cancer cells were taken.
Hi, my name is Boston. This is my 30-second summary because Rudy and Owen lost it. My book was The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, and it was about a black woman in the 50s when, after she died of pelvic cancer or something, they took some of her cells without her consent, and they discovered that her cells didn't die or anything. And then they used them for a bunch of research and stuff, for cancer and the polio vaccine. And then it's kind of just about the story of that and how her family didn't get any profit or anything out of it, and hospitals and stuff made a bunch of money off of it.
My 30-second summary was also cut out. So, here we are. Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. It talks about how a curable disease is still one of the most deadliest of diseases. And the argument of the book is tuberculosis is no longer a biological crisis. It is a failure of human choices, lack of health care, how crazy pharmaceutical prices are, medicines and stuff like that, and the history with actors, actresses, famous people in general getting it, and how it affects third world countries and how it still affects third world countries.
The glass castle, I believe, supports the main message, kinda, where she went through all this trial and everything, and her dad was like the glass castle, where one rock and he would just break.
That was my turn.
Yeah.
ChatGPT is still typing.
We're recording.
Yeah, we can cut it.
You guys are gonna do a lot of cutting.
Yeah. A summary of my book would be, what's it called? Oh fuck, hold on. Oh, there's a woman named Henrietta Lacks, and her cancer cells were taken without permission after she died or whatever when they're doing like an autopsy, and they discovered that her cells are like immortal and they don't die, and they named them the HeLa cells, and they became one of like the most important tools in modern medicine, and they like helped create vaccines like the polio vaccine. And the book also showed how her family struggled with like just getting like things like healthcare, but what's it called? Pharmaceutical companies are probably making a bunch of money off of the vaccines and stuff that their mom made.
Is that my turn?
Yeah.
Okay. The author in my book is trying to convince us that the cycle of what she went through isn't permanent, and it just because you're born into homelessness or a bad family doesn't mean you're going to be the same way as that. And two strong moments in my book, I believe, would be when the author, I'm having a fucking brain shit right now. What would a strong moment count as?
Just like a notable
A
thing
strong
that happened in the book.
we're doing strong moments. Yeah,
Yeah,
just
what-
something important that happened in the book. Like,
I think a strong moment in the book would be when the book's title is mentioned, The Glass Castle, when the father promises the daughter a glass castle. And I also believe another strong moment
Not bad,
is
kid.
when the father is tied to the bed and he's trying to beat the family over not having liquor, and he's going through insane withdrawals.
I'd say two important moments from my book are, what's it called? When they're talking about the Bible with Gary, and then the quote is, like the Bible said, Gary whispered, "Man brought nothing into this world. He'll carry out nothing. Sometimes we care too much about stuff. We worry when there's nothing to worry about."
My quote is...
Just fucking skip.
Yeah,
it,
just-
man.
I'm just throwing my quote. You just said your quote. That was the end of the part. It skipped to Reedy, so I was just trying to say my quote so I could get my thing in. My quote is: "Are you saying you don't have faith in your old man?" Showing how the daughter lost faith in the daughter. Okay, so
Okay.
we're
Like a quote and a meaningful thing that like kind of was
Dude.
said in the book. Death from tuberculosis is not caused by bacteria anymore. It's caused by human choice. It's caused by human-built structures and systems. Just saying, like, it's spread more from, like, denser cities and stuff like that. And another quote would be, "We can do and be so much from each other, but only when we see one another in our full humanity, not as statistics or problems, but as people who deserve to be alive in the world." You know, tuberculosis is more than just a statistic. It's reality.
okay. Here, I'm gonna shut the video off right here.
Yeah, I hope they wouldn't.
If someone reads this book, I hope they share the story that goes on in the book.
And burn the book.
Yeah. I think if someone read my book, I would hope they would be like, "Oh, that's really cool," and then stop reading it after like 20 pages, just like me. And then obviously start reading it again.
Okay, Reedy.
One thing. Wait, hold on. One thing I hope someone would do with the book, if like, just read it through and really like dwell on the topics of it, like tuberculosis, how it is so like integrated with life in like 1800s and beyond.
Did good, kid. Did
Okay.
good.
This has been
Ba-da-ba-da-ba.